Well, we get it rolling on the Krueg Show Saturday morning. The coach will be along. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. I'm watching the Division II National Championship. Jackrabbits against Villanova. Villanova just punted, by the way, and the punter hit the long snapper in the ass with the punt, like 4 feet away. It was classic. And now North Dakota State up 3-0. The Jackrabbits. And later today, we got Army-Navy. Today is a great day. Why is today a great day? Well, normally I would not be saying it's a great day because I don't love this day. I don't love the fact that they give Army-Navy all of this day. I get it. You know, my dad was in the Army. He was a JAG Corps attorney. And I've got great respect for the people who sacrifice for our country. I just would like on a Saturday to have a little bit more college football, or give me a little NFL. Give me a little NFL on a Saturday, right? I wouldn't mind seeing that. So anyway, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find in all of Northern California. I have put the call link in the chat. Michael Monahan is hanging out in the green room, eating our food. If I see smoke billowing under the door, Michael, we're calling the cops. No, I'm just joking. But we'll go to Michael here in a minute, and we'll let him have his say. And if you want to jump in on the call front, we can do that as well. I love my favorite part of having a YouTube channel is the callers. And I don't do tons of callers, so that would probably surprise you. Wednesday nights, though, Kev and I do a caller show. But what I was saying is, why is today I'm such a good mood today? One, the channel has just taken off, and it's all thanks to all you guys. And thanks to our sponsors, of course. New York Style Italian Sausage has been with me since the start. Marin Auto Glass, the great Saeed. Give them a call, 415-883-3030. And New York Style Italian Sausage, I just mentioned, and, of course, Pig and a Pickle. And we have other sponsors, and we have some new sponsors coming aboard. But I just wanted to say that we're sitting here on December 9th, 2023. And I started this channel on, I think, like March 15th, something like that, of 2022. So we're coming up on 2 years in about 3 months, almost exactly 3 months from now. We'll be at 2 years having this channel. And one, I've had more fun than I've ever had. This is more fun than being on the radio because you get a chance to do it all. I'm the producer. I'm the engineer. I book the guests. I talk about what I want to talk about. I know Bay Area sports, and so I can decide what's important. But I love it also because, it's my own endeavor. My son came aboard to start helping out about a little bit less than a year ago. And the channel has absolutely taken off. And we're now sitting today. There is a chance that today we are going to break 30,000 subs. And I just wanted to, just give you guys a little clap because without you guys, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to myself. But I'm not talking to myself ever because 29,905 total subscribers as of this minute. So I'll say it again, and we say it a lot, but, I always say, hey, hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, that just helps the algorithm, kind of shakes the algorithm, helps people find the show, which is very cool. And then if you hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell, every time we go live, you'll get a little notification on your phone, and it's free to subscribe. And 29,905 subs as we start this show. There's a very good chance that today or tomorrow, we've been picking up almost 3,000 subs a month for the last 3 or 4 months. And it's getting, the speed of the growth is getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. because you guys make the channel. And as I said, we're 95 away from 30,000. And if you had told me that we were going to have 30,000 subs, Michael Monahan's twin brother just joined. Oh, no. Now we, I was going to say, now we have 2 Michael Monahans. Now just 1. All right. Michael's moving from phone to phone. We'll get to Michael in just a second because I definitely want to get to the calls before the coach joins us. Coach just sent me a note, saying, hey, I'm running 15, 20 minutes late. I said, no sweat, whatever. Jump in when you can. But I figured I don't want to make everybody wait too much longer to start the show. But I'm in such a good mood today, partly because we're on the verge of crushing 30,000 subs. And I had a goal for the Super Bowl, in February to reach 30,000 subs. And here we are, December 9th, 2 months before the Super Bowl. And we're going to hit 30,000 subs today or tomorrow. And, it's awesome. It's incredible. It makes me kind of reassess the goal. Maybe the goal is 40,000 subs by Super Bowl Sunday, maybe 50,000 subs by Super Bowl Sunday. So I just want to thank a lot of people. I want to thank Grant Cohn. And I know there's all these people, but Grant, I hate Grant. We're going to hate Grant. I get it. There's people that are, Krug, I love you, man, but if you have Grant on one more time, I will never. I hate him. Try to separate the guy you see who's somewhat of a character from the person. Grant Cohn, the person, is a very, very good guy. Grant Cohn and I, football-wise, we don't, sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. I mean, you guys know. But I love him, man. I love his dad. And I love the fact that, he was killing it in this space. And I was a ex-radio guy thinking, do I want to pick up and move my family to LA? Do I want to pick up and move my family to New York? Do I want to pick up and move my family to Chicago? Do I want to? And it's like I got 4 kids. I got a wife. I got 4 kids. I'm from here. I'm a Bay Area sports fan. I'm a Giant fan. I'm a Niner fan. I'm a Warrior fan. I'm a Sharks fan. I'm a Bay Area sports fan. I don't want to live in other parts of the country yet. I'm nothing against other parts of the country. I probably will move at some point. But I'll move when my kids are done with high school, when I want to do it, when my wife and I want to go live on the beach somewhere. And I went to him and I said, hey, man, I'm hurting. I'm down on myself. The radio station made a bad decision by downsizing me, but I'm not going to cry about it. What do you think? And he's like, dude, take a deep breath. Let's go to lunch. Let's talk. Let's talk about options. Let's talk about your future. Let's talk about what you want. Dude fucking saved me. And when I say that, I mean, it's not like he's doing the show for me, but he sat down with me, said, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how it's working. This is why I do it. This is how I do it. This is what you need. And we just sat down and we talked man to man. And, out of that conversation was born this channel. And he's helped support me through the whole thing. And I just want to thank him. I also want to thank my good friend Len Dempsey, who is almost a YouTube and a social media expert, and he has helped me immeasurably. I want to thank my son Kevin, my son Christopher, my son Benjamin. All have had a role in the growth of this channel. My family, my friends, my radio friends, Matt Nahagian, who has employed me now to work at 95.7 The Game part-time. I'm doing pregame and postgame, or pregame tomorrow with O'Neill from the Santa Clara Hilton. Check us out if you're down at Niners SeaHawks tomorrow. And just all the sponsors and all of you guys. So 29,905 subs. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. That's the second reason I'm happy today. The other reason I'm happy today is my daughter is coming home from grad school. My son, Kevin, the producer of the show, is coming home as well from Cal Poly today. And we're going to change the look of the studio. You guys are going to see the studio look quite a bit different behind me. We've got some designs on it. We've already ordered some stuff and lighting, and just it's going to be very, very cool. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I also want to announce to everybody, if you're local, we are doing a watch party. There it is, December 17th, 1 o'clock at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. They got 2 locations, okay? They're in Corte Madera and Emeryville. You guys have heard me say that a million times by now. We'll be in Corte Madera in Marin County. It's a big, cool mall over there, and it'll be December 17th, probably one of the last big shopping days before Christmas. So we're going to be watching Niners Cardinals. I'll be there. They're open till 8 o'clock. I'll be there like from noon on. We're going to watch the Niner game and Cardinal game there, have some barbecue. Anybody who comes out. My family's going to be there. Damon's going to be there. Damon, the owner of Pig and a Pickle, is going to be there. I'll probably order a bunch of barbecue for us all to share, but you're also, of course, welcome to sit down and order some of the barbecue yourself. And I just want to say, it's like, our watch party. We're going to do, we'll be hanging out from, basically noon to 8, but we're going to do the post-game show from there around 4 o'clock. So just very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. So join us if you're in the Bay Area on December 17th. What I would say is, come have some barbecue. I'd love to meet everybody face to face. And then, you want to go do some Christmas shopping at the Corte Madera Mall there. It's a beautiful mall. It's kind of an outdoor mall. Go do some Christmas shopping, or if you want to hang out with us and watch the Niners and Cardinals do their thing, you want to come back and watch the post-game show. We're just going to be hanging out at Corte Madera, Pig and a Pickle. And you can meet the owner of Pig and a Pickle and have some great barbecue, watch some Niners and talk some ball. And I'd love to meet as many of you as I possibly can. It's not the hugest place, so please don't bring thousands of people, but they do have a patio, outside patio. They got a pretty good bar and inside patio or inside room. And probably is going to be the max of like maybe 100 or 200 people. We might overwhelm them if we bring more than 200 people. But hey, I'd love to meet as many of you as possible. And it's a cool, it's the first one I've ever done, a watch party with the audience. So December 17th at Pig and a Pickle from 1 p.m. probably till around 6 o'clock. We'll do the post-game show around 4:30. And then we'll get out of there around 6:30 or so and call it a day. But if you're in the Bay and you want to support the channel and come say hi, please do some Christmas shopping, hang out. The coach is in the green room. So why don't we do this? Why don't we, Coach, let me do this. Coach is taking a minute here. Coach, take your time. Let me hit a couple of these calls. I did put the calls thing in there. We'll let Mike Monahan jump in. First, let me dump out of this.
Larry.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing great, man. I got my hat flipped backwards in support of Brock Purdy.
How unprofessional of you, Mike.
I know. How stupid is that whole take?
Oh, come on. Colin Cowherd. Yeah, happy 110th birthday to Colin Cowherd, everybody. Yeah. Let's clap it up for Colin Cowherd. He's 110 today.
Yeah, we got the most puritanical quarterback in the league, and we're not talking about whether or not he represents the team well. I mean, that's just
the guy's great. The guy's great. I mean, whether he's a good quarterback or a great quarterback, we'll find out in time. But he's a great person, and he's a great representative for our franchise, for our region, for our city. Absolutely. Mike, where are you, by the way? Are you a Bay Area guy? Or are you from around the country?
No. We've chatted a couple times. I'll repeat myself for some of your common listeners, but I live about 15 houses away from where Brock grew up. So,
wow. In Arizona.
In Queen Creek. So
good for you.
Brock's parents used to shut down our Christmas party every year, and my kids and him went to school together, and we've been camping and all that kind of great stuff. So I've known Brock and watched him play football since he was doing Pee-wee, and been the same humble kid all the way. Determined competitor, but very humble and just a great kid, and comes from a really great family.
Yeah, no question. What a great story he's been so far. Give me your quick thought, because we want to get the coach in here at some point, and I know Coach has got a busy day, and we don't want to take too much of his time, but we thought we'd go to some calls, and then I got into a big soliloquy there at the start.
Yeah, 2 takes. Quick last take on Big Dom. That is concerning that some non-player can get a key player ejected from a game and have a potentially massive impact on the outcome. I hope they figure that out, because.
Did you see the latest?
Yeah, I saw he got barred from the sideline for 1 game, it sounds like.
Yeah, he won't be on the sideline. Now we'll get Coach's thoughts, because Coach is a great person to talk to about this, because he's in security. And we kind of talked about it the other night, but we'll start the stream talking a little bit about Dom. Yeah, he's not going to be on the sidelines for Eagles, Cowboys, and then the league's going to determine is more discipline necessary? I don't want to see the guy lose his gig. I never want to. It's the holidays. I don't want to see the guy lose his gig. But guess what? Get off the fucking NFL sidelines.
You just don't want it to turn into a strategy that teams have, right?
Well, God, that would be a bad. Yeah, no, absolutely.
The other thing is, I got something about Seattle, but I learned something today on StreamYard. So, when some callers call in and they got that echo going on,
right?
If you're calling from a computer, StreamYard will open up a separate tab on your browser, and I'll notice that it'll be playing audio on both tabs. And so that'll make that echo happen. So I noticed if I went to the original YouTube tab and just muted it, it took it away. So if any other callers run into that and they're on a computer, that could be what's calling it. Because as soon as I did that, it took care of it immediately. As far as Seattle goes, I think we're going to show up this weekend. I'm not worried about it being a trap game. I don't know if it'll be as big as the spread, represents it to be. But I definitely think, they've got their number, and as long as they, they show up, they'll be just fine. They'll handle their business. They got a few players back from Seattle, but I'm not too worried about them.
I'm hoping. This is the classic trap spot, right? Yeah. But if Seattle does bring out the best in the Niners, and hopefully the Niners will bring it. Mike, have a good Saturday, man. But let me jump to the coach here, brother.
I never thought I'd say this, but I'll be rooting for the Cowboys tomorrow as well.
How about them Cowboys?
That's right. Take it easy, my friend.
See you, Mike. For the content. Oh, man, we love it. We love it. Thanks for supporting the channel, brother. Appreciate you. It is that time. Wait a second. There's somebody in here on the chat. Where is it? Here we go. Callie Young. Where's Coach? Wait a second. Fighting out of the East Coast. 14-0 with 13 knockouts. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend.
What's up, Larry? What's good, Larry? How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
What's going on, brother? How you been, man?
Oh, man, I'm feeling great. I was just telling everybody that I'm feeling so good today. One, because it's I'm Coach, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I'm one of these guys that, and I cannot help this.
Okay.
If it's a good weather day, I feel good. If it's a bad weather day, I don't feel as good. If it's dark and gloomy and rainy and ugly and windy and cold, I'm dragging myself through the day. It's beautiful in California today. I mean, it's cold, but clear. Yeah. I love that clear December chill, but sunny, and it's going to be a great day. And then the channel is sitting here at 29,911 subs. We're poised to crack 30 grand today or tomorrow. And I'm just super fired up about that. And then I'm super fired up because my daughter's coming home from grad school today. She's flying in from Atlanta. My son, Kevin, the producer of the Krueg show, is driving up from Cal Poly. He's done with school for the holidays. So, it's, it'll be a packed house, but you know what? I'm loving it. My second son, Ben, is working at the Christmas tree farm today. He's selling Christmas trees. My 14-year-old's, playing with the dog and playing basketball and that kind of stuff. Wife's shopping. I'm just in a good mood, and we're about to crest the 30,000 hill. I had made a goal on draft day to try to get to 30,000 by the Super Bowl, and here we are. It's December 9th. We got 2 months before the Super Bowl, and we're at 30,000. So I just wanted to thank everybody, and I did, and I want to thank guys like yourself because this has been one of the best streams we've done. One of the best collabs I've done is hooking up with you, and I really look forward to this. I know the audience does. The room always gets packed. You're passionate, you're knowledgeable, you're professional. I feel like our relationship has really grown since the beginning.
Yeah, it has.
And it's really cool. And what I love about this channel is you can, I always felt of myself as a scout, right? Because I scouted with the Cardinals. I scouted in the Canadian League. And you know, it's like, so I'm always thinking of like myself as a scout, and I knew you were going to be great when I first saw you on with Grant. I'm like, this guy's knowledgeable, he's passionate, he knows his stuff, and he's got the right perspective. But I didn't even know what kind of depth you have and what kind of, you know, because I hadn't had really one-on-one conversations, and it's just been awesome. And so it's like, I love being part of your success. I love being part of Vish's success. I love being part of Jesse's success and everybody that I work with. So, and as people who follow this channel know, there's 1,000 Niner content creators.
Tons of us. There's tons of us. Yeah.
But I like to pick and choose the ones that I really think I either jive with or I think are really providing excellent content to the audience. And you're one of them, man. So, you know, you've had a big hand in me getting to 30,000 2 months ahead of time. And I just want to say, man, I appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing, man. First of all, thank you, Larry. And this is a community. I mean, and I feel like it snuck up on everybody. We didn't realize what it was going to be when we first started doing this, but we've grown relationships, man. It's just the truth. For the fans watching, we all pretty much try to be on the same playing field, or we all try to get along and be professional and do the best that we can do. But there are some special relationships that you have with certain content creators, and this is one of them. I mean, we are cool. We're friends, man. We talk about family. We talk about sports. We talk about ball. We talk about issues that aren't for the platform that everybody doesn't want to hear all the time, and we hash it out. We go there. Me and you, we have conversations about race off the line, behind closed doors. We do it all. And
I appreciate that too, because it's like, dude, I mean, I feel like, you know, I can be me around you. You can be yourself around me. You know, we're straight shooters, and we have great dialogue, and it's awesome, man.
When we first met,
I really appreciate it.
We were just honest with each other. Like, you let me know, totally. I'm a family man. You know what I mean? And I'll let you know, like, dude, I'm just a football coach that got pushed to the side, bro. Like, I love ball and I can't get away from it. That's all this is. And
well, no, what you really are is a YouTube star that just is getting started. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm telling you, we're thrilled for you because we all know your story, and the fact that you were able to lateral in such a long, illustrious career in radio and still be able to do that in YouTube is awesome. So, like, we're all just happy because really it's you guys. It's the supporters. It's the fans, because you guys see the work, right? Larry is busting his ass. Okay. Yeah. These videos coming out on a daily basis. It's not easy. You know, like, this isn't my 9 to 5. I got multiple other jobs that I have to do on a daily basis. Like, Larry, one of the reasons why he gets the respect is because we see the grind. One of the reasons why Grant gets the respect is because we see the grind. You can talk about the takes, you can talk about the content, but you can't fake the grind. You can't fake that. And that's what we respect about you, Larry. You're more than deserving for your platform being where it is today. And more, we're happy for you, bro. We're happy.
Richard Thorne jumps in on the comments. He says, "Tell Coach I watched his show last night. It was great."
My God.
What'd you do last night?
Me and Tom Jensen of SI, a writer for SI, me and him did our first daily installment on Fridays of the Faithful Review. So it's a good back and forth show on my channel with me and Tom. We had our first show last night. It's going to be at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific time every Friday, where we just go over the week and kind of have an introspection on where we are on a Friday and do a little bit of preview before we go get to the game. And the first episode went great, man. It was his first time on YouTube. So, you know, we had some snags, but all in all, man, it couldn't have went any better. It was a really good show.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, let's jump into it. Niners go tomorrow against Seattle. And I was just telling everybody I'll be doing a pregame with the great Lorenzo Neal, who I'm sure you remember from the Titans. And I always introduce him as future Hall of Fame fullback. I mean, he was just a hammer, just one of the great fullbacks in the history of the league. And he's a killer dude. I wish you could be out here and come out to one of these shows that I do with Lo Neal, Coach, because he's he's just a cool dude. He's a great guy. And I'll start having him on this show as well. He wants to jump onto YouTube and get rolling, but
yeah.
So we'll be at the Santa Clara Hilton tomorrow from 11 to 1, leading into Niners Seahawks. And I asked I've got a series, because we were a little bit behind. I figured, what, I didn't plan for this stream. We were just going to kind of rip and go. But then I had extra time. So I came up with some topics that I want to throw your way. So let's get right into them. And I threw this one in the chat before, but which Niner player in your mind outside of Brock, because he's the quarterback,
right?
And it doesn't have to be like the best player. I'm not asking you who's the best player on the team. I think we would all say Trent or Bosa, right? But which 49er player do you think is most vital to the Niners winning the Super Bowl this year outside of Brock? Doesn't have to be their best player, because we all know who the best player is.
Right. And I see where you're trying to go with this.
Who do you think is this guy better step up for this reason? By the way, Big Dev 1 just says just subscribed, Coach.
Hey man,
there you go.
Thank you.
There
guys.
you go.
Let
me just say that before we get rolling, Coach. It's SF bang bang.
No, it's bang _ bang _49.
Bang _ 49. So if you're on YouTube, bang _ bang _49. Go follow everybody in the chat. We got 400 people and climbing in the room. We're probably going to get close to 700-800. Everybody in the chat, give Coach a follow, man. Coach's channel is in its infancy, but he puts out great content. He's obviously, as you guys know, very passionate. Here it is right here on the screen. Wait a second. There we go. Bang _ bang _49.
Thank you so much, guys.
If everybody could give Coach a follow and help him grow his channel as fast as possible, that would be cool. But who are you going with, Coach? Who's the guy that you're thinking of as the key 49er that has to step up for the Niners to get in that winning circle?
Well, at first, I'll dress it up. At first, I thought it would be Trent Williams for sure, right? And then on the surface, you're going to have to say Christian McCaffrey. But those are pretty much the easy ones. And to be honest with you, I wasn't that upset or worried with Jalen Moore's play instead of Trent Williams being gone. He wasn't Trent, but it wasn't a just complete fall off. It wasn't. Even with Christian McCaffrey, we still have backs that we're still looking to see behind him and see if they can be ingratiated into the lineup, and still you can get it done with different running backs. For me, it would have to be Fred Warner. Fred Warner not being here completely takes the head off of the snake of this defense. He's the most reliable player we have. He's the most available player that we have. That he's always playing. He's never hurt. Okay. And he rallies the defense. And one of the biggest things that we got to realize is that we had some communication issues with the defense and Coach Wilkes, right? And what did we do to rectify that? We brought Coach Wilkes down on the sideline to kind of shorten that gap, a telephone where they can understand what's going on and they can feel the energy. Fred Warner is the lightning rod of this defense. Everybody follows him, even the leaders that was in the locker room, right? Because you know how football is, Larry. There's leaders in the locker room, and then there's leaders on the field, and then there's leaders that coaches think should be leaders, right? There's 3 tiers of leaders in a football team, right? So the leaders in the locker room are the real leaders. Those are the leaders that the men in the room say are the guy, right? And usually if you have a football team, they just leave it at that. But then you have your leaders on the field where, yeah, the locker room may say that this guy is the emotional leader, but I'm better than you. And when we get on the field, I run the show because I'm the leader. And Fred Warner is one of those guys where you would look at Eric Armstead being pretty much the unquestioned leader of this entire team, right? Is probably one of the biggest guys there. But even when he's on the field, it's Fred Warner's show. He's the orchestrator of that symphony. And if we lose Fred, it's not only for what he brings, but then what do you bring behind him? Who's going to play in Fred's stead, right? So for me, losing Fred would, and just for the fans, I feel like losing Trent worries the fan base, but missing Fred is almost kind of something that's not even recognizable for 49er fans because he plays so much, right?
Yeah.
With Fred not being out, almost when it's a shame for Fred because he's created this. He's kind of created this monster. But even when Fred gets hurt, I feel it. I know you feel it. The energy is get up, Fred. You ain't that hurt. Get up. It can't be that bad because you don't get hurt, Fred. Even as ridiculous as it sounds, he's been so available that he's kind of made us spoiled in that way. So for me, one of the guys that when you think 49ers defense, I'm sorry, like, yeah, you think you could put Nick Bosa out there. And there's some other superlative names out there, maybe Dre Greenlaw. But when you think 49ers defense, number 54 is always running out in front. If we lost Fred, it'd be a big deal in my opinion.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And I love that one. Richard Thorne says, how about Greenlaw? Digital Drew through Greenlaw. Greenlaw is just vicious. I mean, he's just vicious. I love Dre Greenlaw. And I didn't realize he did an interview this week with somebody, and I didn't realize that Dre came from a home where, he was not an easy life. He didn't have an easy road. He lived with different families, and I think he was taken in by one of his coaches, and so it hasn't been an easy road. And to me, I admire people who persevere, because that's what life is about. Let's be totally honest. Bad shit's going to happen, and it's all about how do we react to bad shit happening. Riddy Musich says Larry doesn't like me anymore. Riddy, I love you,
Riddy.
Riddy, how could you say that? How
That's
could you say
a
I don't like
name
you?
too. Riddy,
I love you, brother. I love you.
Riddy.
Riddy, come on back. Don't leave.
No.
Don't leave,
no.
Riddy. Riddy, I love you. Come on, man.
I'm dying without you, Riddy. I can't sleep at night, Riddy.
I drive by your house. I see if your car's parked in the driveway.
You got to hold the boombox up in front of his door.
Riddy, that's me. When the phone rings and nobody's on the other line, that's me. I'm calling. Riddy, I love you. I love you, Riddy.
It's been 3 days since we
Riddy. I don't know why Riddy doesn't think I like him. I love you, Riddy. You're great. We're having fun. No, but I would say, the one for me is George freaking Kittle, just because it's all about who's the next man up. And I look at that. This is why I think the Niners ought to go for Ertz. I love Charlie Warner as a blocker, but let's be totally honest. He's nothing close to George Kittle as a receiver. And Dwelly's now got a high ankle sprain. Braden Willis is a kind of a fullback, H-back, rookie trying to transition to the NFL, trying to figure it all out. Latu's on the IR. Tight end is so vital in this offense. And Shanahan loves to go to the 2 tight end set, and he doesn't even, he might not even have 2 tight ends. So Kittle to me is like, wow, you got to have George just because next man up. Like if you lose McCaffrey, I don't feel great, but I like Jordan Mason. I like Elijah Mitchell.
The ball still can be carried. You know that.
Yeah. You lose Trent, and that's terrible. But you know what? I've got confidence in Jalen Moore. I really do. Now he's not Trent, but I've got confidence in Jalen Moore. But as far as when I look at guys and I'm like, oh shit, that they're now worse, way worse. Kittle on offense, and I would say either Warner or Greenlaw on defense, and obviously Nick Bosa.
Well, I have one on defense too that would really hurt us if we lost him too.
Who do you got?
Well, obviously Nick Bosa, but we still a D line. But Travarus Ward, man.
Yeah.
The last two games that we played, he's played really good, but he's also let me know that we're not out of the woods yet with seeing some of these top tip of the spear receivers, man. So losing Travarus Ward would bump Demo out. That would keep Ambry on the outside. And what are we dealing with in the middle? Sammy Womack at the nickel.
Yeah. Right.
That's less than stellar. But losing, for what it's worth right now, Travarus Ward is our lockdown corner. He's our guy. So for him to be gone, I would feel like teams would almost want to start getting what the Niners struggle with, which is that quick passing game. You see what I'm saying? Like totally. even with that quick passing game, Larry, that's why Fred is worth his weight in gold, because He's quick enough, savvy enough to go sideline to sideline underneath, but he's still fast enough to carry in the slot if he needs to carry a running back or a slot receiver. And that's almost like having another Jimmy Ward on our team, right? Where he's multifaceted and he can get things done on any type of situation on the field. So really Fred Warner is really good, but he's also plays like about 3 different positions for us on defense. So, that's why we got to keep those guys.
No doubt. Okay. I kind of talked about this before you got in here, but Big Dom, the Eagles security guard, we got an update on that. He's not going to be on the sidelines for Dallas, Philly.
Right.
And he's still going to do all of his regular duties. He's going, to Dallas for the trip. And now we're updating the traveling status of security guards, but he won't be on the sideline. And the NFL is doing a deeper dive and a deeper investigation into what happened and the whole that little fracas or whatever you want to describe it as between him and Greenlaw on the field. I guess the question I would have for you to try to advance this a little bit, what do you think, Coach? I mean, we all know that Dre shouldn't have put his hands on the security guard. The security guard definitely shouldn't have been on the field. The security, we could lecture the guy forever, but we all know. I mean, the security guard cannot be touching the players. That's just period. We all know that.
Period.
But what do you think, Coach? What in a world where we're not mad at Dom? I'll take it at face value. The people that say, "Hey, man, he's a good dude." He looks like a good dude. Whatever.
Right.
They like him. I'll take their word for it. He's a good dude.
Cool.
Does a lot of good stuff for Philly. So let's not pretend the guy's evil. He's not. But what's appropriate punishment, do you think, from Goodell, from the league? What's an appropriate way to go forward involving Big Dom so that it doesn't happen again? They send a message, but they don't, destroy this guy.
Well, that's the thing about security is that there is no emotion in security. You're supposed to be an inanimate object, honestly. Almost as if you're a guardrail, just a human form of it. For me, you don't want anybody to lose their job. But that's the recourse in security, though, right? When you have high liability jobs where there's a lot at stake, the threshold for keeping or losing your job can be very staunch, right? There's no wiggle room. Right. So I could see if Big Dom was a secretary and he accidentally sent out like the wrong email, depending on what's in the email, that could be rectified. Right. But when, if you're a truck driver, there's some certain things that you do as a semi truck driver that, if you're driving way too many hours, you're automatically fired. And it's not the fact that you didn't fall asleep this time. It's not the fact that you got caught driving past your hours. Dude, you're fired because you're a liability driving down the road with a multi-1,000-pound weighted weapon on wheels, okay? And you can't be trusted with this. And it's not about what we think you're going to do down the road, but it's the fact that you did it now. And you couldn't have done it, and you shouldn't have done it. So it's not – I just want people to understand that the world of security is very unforgiving in that aspect. Guys losing their job in security is almost kind of like we're private contractors, essentially. So losing your job is almost in the same ilk as a coach losing his job. Everybody knows that you may like a coach, but there are certain areas of his job that either keep him in the building or it's like, God, we like this guy, but he's got to go. Right.
Not to interrupt, but are there different labels for this? Like you do a certain kind of security. He's been listed as security. And a lot of people like myself are going, hey, man, if you're security, you would be wearing a yellow coat facing the stands. But
he's not that security. No.
He's a bodyguard is what he is. He's not really a security guy because
isn't personal protection.
Isn't he responsible for like the getting on and off the field for Sirianni? So he's not really security. He's more like a bodyguard.
They make it more inconspicuous now the way they used to do it. The way they used to do it is they would just utilize local law enforcement from the area to handle those type of duties. That's
what they do in college. You'll see a couple. Alabama trots off the field. Nick Saban's got a couple
some troopers.
Yeah, with the hats and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So My dad did 25 years Prince George's County Sheriff's Department, so he was very much involved in crowd suppression control for Wizards games, or when they were the Bullets, working out over here at FedEx Field for Redskins games. So I've been very much a part of all of those outfits, working myself at FedEx Field at that time, doing a lot of concierge and event security myself. And what it used to be was they would just utilize the local law enforcement that was in the area for them to do that. And it was a cool little part-time gig. Guys, you maybe get a couple $100, a cool little sandwich and a picture. But now, and if you like the guy enough, it was kind of like your permanent outpost, right? So during the season, for 8 weeks, you got yourself a nice little job, right? Walking the coach on, walking them off, being personal security to protect the coach so he can do his job and to protect the staff. The players are fine, okay? You're not there to protect the players. So when he stepped out of bounds for what he did, we talked about this before. It's not the fact that he tried to do his job. He just did it wrong. He could have simply just been a presence and stood there. And if he really was worried about Dre Greenlaw and Devontae Smith getting into something that was outside of the realm of the game, he could have just been a presence and stood in between them. The moment he fucked up is, number one, where he stepped. He was off the field. So, number one, you're wrong. Okay. 2, why are you talking? Okay. We see the video running. What are you saying to him? What type of conversation do you need to have with somebody right now? You need to just be standing there and getting yelled at and waiting until the proper authorities come in there to get your big ass out of the way. And 3, initiating contact. People don't understand, like in security, man, like it's
you're not supposed to
you're not supposed to put your hand out.
Or in any way do anything to make the situation.
Yes.
You're a diffuser, right?
You're exacerbating the situation by putting your own wishes in there for what you want to do. So because of that, for me, he should be fired. I'm sorry. He
really?
should. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, I think
that seems harsh, man.
Because it's a liability issue. If depending on the conversation that we're having with him, what kind of disappointed me if this was my contract and Dom was my employee, right? Which I do have a security firm and I have people that work under me. Mm-hmm. What frustrated me was the aftermath. It's not the fact that you got taken off the field, but what are you sitting there dapping everybody up, slapping hands, talking about we'll get them next time in the hallway after the game? Like, my man, you're still not doing your job. Right. You're still not doing your job.
But you wouldn't suspend. You'd fire, huh?
Yeah, I'd fire him. I wouldn't suspend him. And that's not me being a Niners fan. That's me doing payroll every week, paying grown men for over a dozen years. If he worked for a loyalty company, he'd be fired. I'm sorry.
What do you think he makes, if I could ask? I mean, what do you? I
know it's probably a one-off. It's probably a one-off. So it's probably in that 8-game range. He probably may hit 6 figures, or maybe like around there 70. So
70 to be on the sideline.
Yeah, it's a sweet gig. 8 games, you're there. And that's the thing. One of the things that I noticed is that they said that he can't be on the field. So then you have to ask yourself, that's essentially his job, though. So you're asking him, well, what is he doing if he's not there on game day? So,
God, if he gets fired, I mean, the guy's going to be a martyr in Philly. I mean,
he'll find a job right away. And that's the thing about security. Like, this guy is more than fine, right? He's got a Rolodex and a profile that if he's working for the NFL, he's going to fall on his feet, especially some sympathizers around there who don't think anything happened that he deserved to get fired. But security is unforgiving. It is. I've had guys that I've given chances to personally. I've had guys I've given chances to, and some of the things that they did teetered on the side of like liability issues, like, you're not doing your job. And it's come back to bite me. It really has. Like, it's cost me money. I've had security. I had a security firm for over 12 years. And at one point we had $1 million a year in insurance. And that insurance premium used to shoot through the goddamn roof every time I used to give somebody a break, So, I mean, liability wise, nah. What if he would have been, I keep saying the word liability. So let me explain. I
mean, if the 49ers, I mean, let's just say he poked Greenlaw in the eye and he got a retina or something like that.
Thank you.
Anything could happen.
What if he's a big guy, right? And these guys got on cleats with their soft toe shoes on top. What if he would have stepped on somebody, right, and broke a toe? What if he would have fell on somebody and hurt somebody? Not being funny, but anything could have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool story, bro. Computer security and physical security, both. So, for me, I don't look at what happened. I look at what could have happened. And that's why I would let him go, honestly.
Well, it seems harsh, but I'll defer to you on this. You know a whole lot more about this realm than I do. So I never like to see people lose their gigs. To me, it's bad karma for me. If you notice one thing I'll never do is I don't go to in sports or out of sports. I don't go to the fire 'em card very much because I've been fired. And especially during the holidays, it sucks and it's just really hard. So I'll never go there, but I'm not, telling you how you should feel. I mean, more about this,
and this isn't me wanting him to be fired. Yeah. This just so happens to fall within one of my wheelhouses. Like I do security.
Which is why I wanted to get your perspective on it. Okay. Interesting little note from Grant this morning where he's suggesting that maybe Logan Ryan is here to replace Jair Brown as the starting strong safety. They're saying all the right things about Jair Brown, but he may have had a missed assignment. We saw him have a missed tackle. What do you think? I looked at it as he's going to keep Isaiah Oliver, who did play some safety in this last game, one more step from the field. I think Logan Ryan is going to be a replacement or the guy who slots in ahead of Isaiah Oliver at safety. And with the guy who can play maybe the slot corner in a pinch. For those who don't know Logan Ryan, he came out of college from Rutgers as a corner, and then he played for New England. He won a couple rings, but he's kind of transitioned to a safety role, which a lot of guys do as they age and they lose some of their speed. But what do you think, Coach? If you were going forward based on what you've seen from Jair, I'll say this. Jair has not been offensively bad. He may have missed a tackle. He may, he's a young player, but would you rather go with Jair Brown at strong safety or Logan Ryan at strong safety going forward?
I don't know if Logan Ryan's going to play strong safety for us though, Larry, because he didn't really do it in his career.
Yeah. He's played all the spots, which is he's kind of the jack of all trades, master of none at this juncture, right? I mean, he's not really what you want as a safety. He's not really what you want as a corner.
Yeah. Okay, so in that, guys, potentially, right? Everything doesn't mean something, but something everything doesn't mean. I mean, something doesn't mean everything, but something is something, bro. Like him being on the team, for me, the only reason why I want to stay away from Jair Brown is because he's young. I don't want to put that narrative out there. I think that they saw these issues with him, and because he got thrusted onto the field, they're seeing the reason why he didn't play, right? He just doesn't have his body yet. He's a little less physical, but he has heart. He wants to be physical. He's just not there yet. And from a mental standpoint, he is missing some assignments. He missed 2 big tackles in the Eagles game very early on, but that's him being eager. You got to let the kid play.
By the way, just in fairness to Jair, he did have 6 tackles. 5 of them were solo, which was the second most to Greenlaw and Ambry on the team against Philly. So it's not like he's not doing anything. He's making tackles.
He's doing it. Yes. And the only reason why I want to stay away from Logan Ryan's arrival is basically Jair Brown's departure is because we were trying to make a move like this before with Jason Verrett earlier in the year. Do you remember that? And it didn't work out. And that was well before Jair Brown had even sniffed the field because Huff was still healthy and they were still trying to make this move, right? So I look at it from the guise of they need another veteran corner, and not even a corner, but they need a DB, right? They need another live body, somebody in the room
who's not going to piss down their leg.
Thank you. Exactly. They're going to get on the field and actually give us a couple of reps. They're not going to get picked on. Okay. If we put you on the field, you're not going to be a complete mark. All right. You can give us competent play. And on top of it, you're going to be a good locker room guy to keep our boys ready and bubbling on the back end, should and if they need to get on the field. I do look at that as a strong depth piece, but right now, I like where Jair Brown is because of who he's surrounded by. We're not really looking for him to make huge plays. We're just looking for him to play within the defense, right? So with Logan coming in, I see that. I see just more depth and them preparing for the possibility of, right? Because you got to look at it. With Huff gone, Jair gets elevated, all right? And now our safety room looks a lot thinner, right? So I like the move with Logan Ryan coming in, but I don't think it's definitely for the pure replacement of Jair Brown. But I do think it's there for, football's a violent game, right?
Yeah.
And we
insurance
can't get
policy
down.
A quality veteran in depth and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I look at Logan Ryan. I don't think he's a big striker. I like Jair Brown better. I think Edward Austin says here, Jair will show that he's the right guy for the position. Jair, they know they got the right guy. It's just a matter of, how ready is he to go right now.
It's a matter of time with Jair. I like the way he plays.
I'd roll with Jair.
Yeah.
All right, how about Eric Armstead? Let's move to Eric Armstead because Armstead is out. He's not going to play this week. He's not going to play next week. To me, that's the one concern I have. One, I love that they're sitting him. Why? Because, he's got plantar fasciitis. Anybody who's ever had plantar fasciitis knows that rest is all that makes it better. Rest. Right. And so getting a big man like that, 6'7", 300 pounds, 290, whatever he is, off his feet for a couple games will help the plantar fasciitis. He's also got a little knee pain going on. You need him in the playoffs. I don't know that you need him to win these next couple games against the Seahawks and Cardinals. So he's out of this game. Who would you like to see start opposite Hargrave inside? Because the options, as you know, are Kinlaw and Kevin Givens and Kalia Davis.
Mm-hmm. I want Javon. It's time. It's time. We got a lot of little saga stories on this roster, right? We got a lot of like first round pick guys where they didn't really pan out, and we do a good job at like discarding guys or kind of like pushing them off to the wayside, especially when we get a lower guy that comes in there instead and does better than them. Everybody loves to brag about a deal. That's just what it is. So Javon Kinlaw has been somebody that's really been on the outskirts of the timing of when he's going to show us who he truly is as a player and his body being able to cooperate with him, right? So for me, I've always wanted to see Javon blossom because I just felt as though that he got a raw deal. And he was working really hard while getting it, which is so hard, right? Like the injuries that he was having with his knee, he completely changed his body in the last summer, came in and then had more arthritic problems with his knee. On top of him learning how to be a pro, dealing with the media, dealing with knowing how to be this new player and the pressure of, we got Javon Kinlaw as a DeForest Buckner replacement. That's just why he was here. That's facts. And
he's feeling good right now, too. He is feeling good. I talked to him yesterday in the locker room, or Thursday, I guess it was. And, he said, man, I'm feeling good. And, so he's ready. He's ready. He's playing with leverage. He's just coming off a 2-sack game. I agree. I think I would roll with Kinlaw and just see if you can get him to, play, a big majority of those snaps.
Yeah.
I want to share this with you though, because this was Wilkes. I asked Wilkes this week about Kalia. We don't really know that much about Kalia. I'm a big fan. He's a former linebacker. He played at Central Florida.
Yep.
Here's Wilkes talking a little bit about Kalia. I asked him about him on Thursday.
Steve, what's the key to Kalia Davis? We haven't seen a lot of him, but he's obviously a very talented player. What do you like about his game?
Man, Khalil has really, the whole time when he wasn't in there, he kept that mindset of just waiting for his opportunity. And for him to seize it the way he did this past week was glorifying for not only him, but for everybody. Good pad level. He's very strong. I love the way he comes off the ball, uses his hands well, and good lateral movement where he can shed and get down the line of scrimmage and chase things down. So he's going to be getting a lot of reps here coming up soon.
There you go. Obviously, Wilkes knew the situation with Armstead, so Kalia is going to get some run. What did you think of Kalia? I mean, he was a linebacker. He runs really well for somebody
Very well.
315 pounds for sure.
Yeah, he runs very well. Very athletic, explosive. I was surprised by his knee bend off of coming off that injury. I mean, God, he gets so parallel with the turf, man. When he fires off the ball, he's got a good motor. He just doesn't know where he needs to be sometimes on the field, but that just comes with playing. He needs to be on the field some more. I'm excited about him and Javon. Kalia Davis is another athlete who's coming off of another serious knee injury, who is bouncing back, where the Niners have stuck with him. That's one thing I've seen about the Niners, man, is that if you show any type of real promise on the defensive side of the ball, especially on D-line, they will stick with you, right? That's just another hallmark of how this team is built. And Kalia Davis and Javon Kinlaw are examples of that. They have stuck with these guys, and really we're about to see proof of concept with Eric Armstead being down. You know, Eric is Big Oak. He's literally class personified as being the tip of the spear on that defensive line. But as we were talking about before we heard about Coach Wilkes, I'm really excited for Javon. Javon Kinlaw is getting a lot better. One of the biggest things about Javon when he first started is that he used to play really high, right? Yeah. Coming out of his break, he would coming out of his stance, he popped straight up, right?
Well, and you lose all your leverage, you lose all your strength.
That beautiful physique that he has gets wasted when he pops right up.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get to see him. And then it just, what's really bad is that he's such a long athlete with being as big as he is. He's still tall. And it just looks awkward on the film, right? When you see a man of that stature, his body getting pushed back, where you know that he's got tons of strength. He's just not in his power angles, and he doesn't have good leverage. I have not seen a lot of that this year with Javon. Javon seems very eager to get upfield, a little bit so much, though, that it's helping his pass rush, and he's doing a phenomenal job at finding second move. Javon didn't have a second move when he first started last year. When Javon was playing last year, it was a bull rush. That was it. Maybe a side swipe. That was it. Maybe a club. That was it. Maybe a rip. That was it. But for the most part, it was a bull rush. He just wanted to get his hands on you. Now you see it being layered. I actually saw Javon using multiple moves during during defensive pass rushing opportunities. Now, what has suffered a little bit with Javon is his run defense has dipped a little bit as a result of being so preoccupied with trying to get up the field. We're trying to have a first step. We're trying to get past the line of scrimmage and get 3 yards of penetration to crush that pocket. He hasn't been as stout in the run game, but it's not for lack of trying. It's not because he's a bitch. He knows what he's doing. His biggest thing is he needs more of those run reps where he's not really seeing them, because we have a little bit of a star-studded D-line. So you got to kind of wait your turn, right? I think with Javon, especially Javon, because I haven't seen so much of Kalia yet, and I'm eager to see. I just haven't seen a lot. But with what Javon has shown throughout the year and the type of player that we know he is, and let's just talk about the personal level. Eric Armstead is Javon Kinlaw's mentor.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
that's his mentor.
He calls him, I talked to him yesterday. He calls Eric one of the most important people in his life.
Yeah, that's his big homie. That's his OG. Real talk.
He admires him professionally,
he admires him personally, spiritually, financially, life coach wise, the whole nine, right?
Right.
Like Eric Armstead is damn near tying his shoes up for him. Like that's his OG. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you don't think Eric hasn't sat Javon down and been like, bruh, you better represent. You better come in here and make it look like we haven't missed a beat. Don't you go out there and fail me. Don't you go out there and nut up and shit the bed now that you finally got an opportunity with me sitting down. Me. You know how they feel about me. If I'm taking a break, bruh, this is one of the rare cracks in the door that you're going to get in this game. And that's how That's how NFL players talk to each other. Even though from a fan standpoint, it may look like, man, you're kind of like telling him to take your spot. No, it's an opportunity.
Eric believes that when Javon gets that opportunity, that he's going to be great in this league. He told me that this week or last week.
Yeah.
I had a great conversation with Javon yesterday, by the way. Everybody should go check that out. We had an extended couple minutes where we talked dip. Mm-hmm. I said, because he had a big old lipper in, and I said, Javon, I go, I used to be a Copenhagen man myself back in the day. I beat the habit eventually. But I go, what are you dipping? I go, what's your dip of choice?
Wintergreen long cut.
And he goes, oh man, Grizzly. I just, he's like, oh man, I don't even know what this is. I go, what are you dipping? Grizzly? You dipping long cut? You dipping Kopi? You dipping Skull? What do you got? And he's like, I just bummed this one from George or something. He's like, but I just anything. He goes, anything that has a little flavor to it, a little wintergreen
long cut, Grizzly wintergreen long cut, man.
Little wintergreen, just anything that has a little flavor to it.
Hey man, Javon's a good dude. That was the dip of the gods. Wintergreen long cut, Grizzly wintergreen long cut. I used
to do radio shows, and I went from snuff to long cut just so it wouldn't move around.
So it stayed in your.
And there would be a couple times I'll be doing shows. This is back in the day. This is like 20 years ago. Guys would be like, somebody would call me like, Krueger really sounds like you're dipping. I'm like, and I trying to keep it a secret. I'm like, no, the show wasn't on TV at the time, and there was no cameras. No, I'm not dipping.
Nah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I feel like sounds like you're dipping. But we talked a little dip. We talked a little everything.
Yeah.
Check that out on YouTube. But Javon's got an opportunity here. Kalia's got an opportunity. Givens is playing at a high level. They got to give Eric a couple weeks off, man. They got to figure out a way to step up and give the big man a couple weeks off. If Eric Armstead is rolling full tilt, man, the Niners' chances of going to and winning the Super Bowl go up. So he's a very important guy. We talked about, who's the most important guy. We didn't even mention him, but he is really vitally important. So
he's huge. He's huge to what they do. If you and I, we watch film regularly, Larry. If you look at their defensive stunts, a lot of that stuff where Eric is the pivot, he's the 1D lineman that they move off of, right? They predicate a lot of their stunts and a lot of their pressures off of the pressure and the movement that Eric Armstead gets at that spot. So
he's a cerebral player, Coach. I mean, one of the keys to defending Hurts and Geno, by the way, is staying in your lanes and balancing your D line. And like there was a play, I was talking to Randy Gregory the other day, and I mentioned to him, I said, hey, there was a play where Bosa was outside, shot inside against Hurts, and it was in front of Eric. And Eric saw this and reacted by pushing outside, despite the fact he had a lane to get up the field inside. Instead, he pushed outside to keep the 4-man line balanced and to keep basically the pocket, keep him hemmed in, as opposed to, is there a side door open?
Yeah.
So he's like, Bosa shot in, he shot out, the other way, and basically balanced the whole thing out. And Randy was like, yeah, man. First of all, Randy's like, hey, man. And I go, when the interview was over, he's like, I dig you, man. You watch the film. And I said, well, hey, man, if I'm going to come in here and ask you guys questions, I better fucking know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a jerk. And he's like, truer words have never been spoken. But he's like, man, I appreciate you. So, but that was the plan, which was, I mean, Hurts only ran 7 times. His longest run was 7 yards. That was one of the keys to the victory, was that the Niners kept him hemmed in. If he runs for 25 yards and busts your defense and guts it, and now everybody's got their hands on their hip because they're, you're breathing heavy. Now suddenly you're not nearly as effective. They minimized his rush, took away his big runs, and I thought that was as big a key as any to them beating Philly.
Yeah. How we're intelligently that's I didn't realize what they were doing by looking at it, but you could tell that they were keeping the rush lanes in front of them with Jalen. They weren't teeing off trying to go get him. What they were trying to do is keep his ass in that pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean? And how they did it, a lot of it wasn't just keeping your man in front of you and 2-gapping. It's intelligently designed. There are times where you have to be an Eric Armstead and you see somebody cutting in from your left, and you have to have the spatial awareness to understand, okay, so he just collapsed on the other side. Now I'm the new outside man. So let me get wide.
Right.
To keep the integrity of what he's doing. Right.
And look what Bosa said. Bosa said, hey, if Dallas is smart, they're going to copy our rush plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to. But, we talked about it. Everybody was smart and they copied what the Browns did to us. Right. This is just a copycat league. Ever since the Browns went man across and went a 5-man front and 50, and they went bare against us basically, to single out our offensive linemen to try to keep us from getting combo blocks on outside zone and what we were doing heavily at the time. That's all we saw for a month, right? That's just what the NFL does. And how we beat the Eagles wasn't this is why I think Philadelphia needs to be worried, is because what we did to them wasn't emotional, right? It wasn't, oh, we're really upset because of what you guys did to us last week. You and I know, Larry, emotion lasts for maybe the first 2 series.
Yeah. It was smart. It was an intelligent plan.
Yeah, it's way too much of a violent game to be caring about a storyline while you getting your ass whipped. No, that stuff lasts for it's cool for the coin flip, maybe the first kickoff or 2 series. But once the game is playing, it's all right. Who's better? Who's better? And for us to continuously outclass them in virtually all facets of the game, they got to be worried, because that was a complete game plan against them. It was
no doubt. You
don't got to worry about how good the team is when you got a game plan. I'm telling you.
Oh, and that's what the Niners have to do. It's not about the old saying, hey, it's not about work harder, it's about work smarter. And that's what the Niners really did against Philly. They didn't work, it wasn't like how hard they worked, it was how smart they worked. All right, we got a few more topics, but let's hit some supers right here. Pimp Game Arnold Palmer. Okay, never seen him. This is Brandon Aiyuk for MVP 100. He's been great, man. That. Well, he's been great the last couple.
Oh my God, last couple of games.
My
he's
God,
been unreal.
It's just been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Danny Golding, and I've got an Aiyuk topic I want to throw your way as well. Gotcha. Grant had another question about him going to Houston, so we'll talk about that. Danny Golding TV says, "Keep up the great work, Larry." Thank you, Danny. We got this one from Holes Joe. He said, "Did anyone notice Oliver playing safety against the Eagles, or was I tripping?" No, I think he did play a little safety.
Everybody saw it and freaked out. He just filled in for Gibson for one play. He did roll down. I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Is that Oliver? Mike Monahan. Yeah. Mike Monahan just Larry made Riddy a mixtape. Thank you. Kevin Crittenden says researchers at UC Davis fed a brood of pigs a pickle-only diet. The pigs' vocalizations took on the quality of Bay Area sports analyst Larry Krueger. The long-term impact on this on sports media is unclear at this time. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Thanks for the donation. Voice ad agencies. Seemed like 49ers went with a spread offense against the Eagles for the most part. What was your guys' take on that? I didn't notice that it was necessarily a spread offense, though they're what they're doing a lot more. And I'm not saying that this is an anti-juice deal, but they're taking the fullback off the field and they're going to 3 wides. A lot more of their dynamic plays. It's almost like, Coach, they're choosing Jawan Jennings over Juszczyk. It's like that third wide receiver is almost always going to be Jennings. And when you go 3 wides and with the one tight end, you take the fullback off the field. So it's like there's a lot less snaps for Juice. But, man, Jennings is such a dog. Jennings is such a high-effort guy. Jennings is such a great, underrated football player. I liked it. I liked it against Philly, but that might be a Philly-specific thing. We'll have to see what it looks like this week against Seattle. But, yeah, I've noticed the last 2 or 3 weeks, really since the bye, they've gone to a more 3-wide look.
Well, I have a theory about that, and basically this is all credit to Kyle. When the game first started, I did not recognize us offensively. We had 3 straight passes. We went empty on 2 of those passes. We had a sack, and we ran the ball for the first time with Debo to the right side on an end around. We just didn't look like ourselves. And for me, as I watched the film and went back and looked at the results of the game, you got to really start giving Kyle credit on how he opened this game, because he had clairvoyance. He understood that the Eagles on the road, they were going to lean into this. They're on the road. And you think about it. We got 3 days rest. We're galvanized to beat the shit out these guys and what they did to us. The Eagles just had 4 weeks of comebacks, okay, and 1 overtime game. Yeah, they can talk a good game, but they're a little road weary. So what they did is they tried to end this game in the first round. They tried to come in here, throw everything but the kitchen sink at the wall, and blitz and crowd the line of scrimmage, deny us the newest everything. Deny. We're just going to blow everything up. What I loved about Kyle is that Kyle understood that the only way to get these guys where they belong on the field before we can get into our game plan is we have to prove to them that we can make them pay when they blitz. We can make you pay through the passing game if you think that bombarding our offensive line and simply going to go get Brock is going to be the game plan today, because that's not what we do. And when it first started, when the game first started, it was hard for Brock to really get acclimated. It was hard for everybody. But that out route to Brandon Aiyuk on 2nd and long that turned it into 3rd and 3, where there was a flood concept on the left side of the field with 3-by-1, which made it a 4-by-1 post snap after Christian bled out into the flat. And that ball was supposed to go to CMC. Brock made a hot and called that off and went to Brandon Aiyuk on the right-hand side because he was playing off-man coverage on the backside. And that's what started it off. The Eagles really started to say, okay, now we got to play you guys honest. And it wasn't until they started putting themselves traditionally back on the field where they belong, where the linebackers are not, they're at good depth from 5 yards off of the line of scrimmage, or 5 yards off the ball instead of 3, or mugging up in the A-gaps. And when they started actually playing us honest, we carved them up. And it took Kyle to be smart enough to understand we can't just give these guys our game plan coming in. And to be honest with you, it took trust, because if you're Kyle, think about this, Larry. How many you coach, Larry? You coached, you scouted, you've been around the game. How many coaches do you know, Larry, that have had problems with players because it's just like they got too much integrity to tell the kid that it's them, but they know it's like, dude, I cannot get this kid to do things. And at some point, you just coach around him, right? We're not even going to deal with that. I feel like Kyle has had that issue with a lot of the quarterbacks that he's had in his offense, where he's coached around their skill set.
Oh, clearly.
And there's whole swath of the offense that get left on the cutting room floor when it's time to put together a game plan, because he doesn't trust what this quarterback can do on a consistent basis. I feel like Kyle, for the first time in his career, he's calling full game plans, and he's not worried about where the ball is going. There's a difference from, and this is the rub that I feel like Kyle has to deal with. Excuse me. There's a difference between being an OC when you know the only responsibility that you have is putting points on the board. Right. But there's a whole different ball game when you're the OC and you have the responsibility of the win and the loss. And I feel like Kyle sometimes puts the win and the loss of the game in his game plans, and he hasn't been able to be an OC because he's too much. He's predicated. He's too preoccupied with worrying about the gaps in the holes of the process of winning the game, when he should be thinking about what's the best way to utilize this offense. And I think Brock has given him that license, right, mentally, to say, okay, I can sit down with the offensive game plan and be an OC now. I don't have to necessarily worry about what this game plan is going to do with the whole game. We can get that together when we bring in the defensive staff and we talk about how we're going to holistically attack this ball club. But now we got something in the quarterback where I feel confident week in and week out with putting together anything that I can come up with, because I know this kid is going to, number one, see it. That's the biggest thing that we want to talk about with Jimmy. We could talk about the picks. We could talk about the injuries. The problem with Jimmy is that he simply could not see the field. He couldn't see it. He could not see the field the way Brock does. And what I saw with the Eagles was Kyle trusting his quarterback to say, look, bro, we're going to be a little uncharacteristic in optics coming into this game, but we got to prove to these guys that we can actually throw the ball before we get to what we want. And I'm going to do it with your arm. And that's something that I haven't seen with Kyle in a while. And I'm encouraged.
You're right about, he thinks Brock sees it, especially on the play action game. Jimmy, when he would flip around on the play action game, he never would flip around and immediately throw it. He always had to reassess and recalibrate where the defenders were, where the offensive players were. If you see Brock turn his back on the defense, as soon as he flips around, he's ready to release the football because he knows where he's got a better spatial awareness of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Matthew Sanders has a donation for you here, Coach. He says, Seattle, slim chance to win, but I expect them to try and get their pound of flesh. Got to stay healthy. Philly, the blueprint is out. Expect haymakers from Dallas. Yeah, well, I would expect also a coordinated rush from Dallas. I think that's something you're going to see. Tommy Huxley says, Coach, get off of Witherspoon's jock. He's talking about what? Coach is on. Is he talking about the DB for Seattle? Coach didn't even mention him. Tommy might be listening to the show.
So
Christian Roca said, Coach, just Coach, with exclamation points. I'm going to share the screen here. To me, this was I don't know if I made it a topic, but I asked Kyle about this week, and I'm going to show you the play, and I'm going to let you hear from Kyle. First, we'll hear from Kyle, and then we'll show the play. But here's Kyle. I asked him about this earlier in the week, and it was just basically about the tunnel screen to Debo and the fake that McCaffrey carried out. And here's what Kyle had to say.
Kyle, on the Debo tunnel screen, when I watched it again, I saw that McCaffrey really sold the halfback toss, and I don't think Debo scores without that play fake on the backside. Did you show that to the team this week? And is that your guys' culture, or is that all CMC?
That's our culture, but and we point that all out. And when someone doesn't do it, they point that out. So guys have pressure on each other to not let the other guy down. But I will say Christian is the best player I've ever been around without the ball in his hand. Just the little things he does that are so obsessive. Like, everybody carry out fakes and stuff, but he goes to the extreme, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of Kyle talking about the play. And then here, I think, is the play. If I have it in the right spot here, here it is. And this is phenomenal. I mean, watch the effort and watch the way the spacing is here on this play. We're going to see it from the sideline wide. Then we're going to see it from the end zone wide. And you're talking about CMC up here to the offset of the quarterback to the right there. And he carries this out. Brock never looks at him, never fakes the ball to him. But look at the linebacker and the reaction of the linebacker to his fake and how many false steps he takes. And then look at how it plays out once Debo hits the crease.
I see you, Teasy.
Linebacker tries to get back, but no.
It's too much.
It's too much. And he's gone. And now here's the end zone copy of it. And I don't know if we'll be able to see McCaffrey or not, but McCaffrey, you'll be able to see him sort of. And watch McCaffrey. And he's calling for it. He's calling for it. Look at that linebacker, 3 steps. And now he's trying to chase him back. And can he get there? No. And Debo goes untouched. And, I asked McCaffrey about that. And he's like, hey, look, man, that's the way I got to play. That's the way we do it. And he mentioned how Kyle mentioned, hey, we show them this. We put pressure on these guys to do this. But it's the level of the fake. Some guys just go through the motions on the fake. It's the urgency on the hands. It's like, get me. Oh, that linebacker thinks he's going to get it. And then he's like back there trying to chase it down, and Debo's gone. I mean, and that would have been a nice gain without the fake, but with the fake, it's a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the stuff that we see on a daily basis, right? We watch the film, and that play right there is one of the reasons why when we're on top of Debo about doing things without the ball in his hands, because of what has to happen when he has the ball in his hands, right? And Kyle is 100% right. When you have an offense that's predicated on obfuscation, meaning that hiding in plain sight, being there when you're not supposed to be there, it's important that everybody's in on the gag. Everybody's got to be doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing at 100% believability and effort. And that's what makes the offense so believable, because it's not when you watch that film, right? That play is going to get regurgitated as a cool play, right? But when Seattle looks at that play, that's a play that makes them nervous. You know why? Because you can't coach that. You can't coach that. You can't tell the linebacker, hey, when he throws up his hands and acts like he's going to get the ball, that's a fake. No, that's just part of the game that you can't do anything about, right? And that's the stuff where I love the fact that Debo had a bounce back game and he did what he was supposed to do. But Christian plays like a hungry man. He does. He plays like a free agent. His whole attitude is you'd be surprised that he gets the money that he does. And that's what you need from everybody on this offense, right? And the fact that he's one of the best players and plays like a poor man, you need to understand that there are going to be teams that are going to be testing that in us. And I love that you asked that question because that part of our offense is more important than just as important than ball carriers getting the ball, in my opinion, because of how we get to certain plays. So,
and by the way, Coach, you know how cutthroat the NFL is?
Talk about it.
The linebacker 53 who made that play or didn't make that play, cut.
Done.
Cut. He's
Done.
gone. Ellis. Yeah. That's was that Ellis, Christian Ellis?
Yeah, Christian Ellis.
They waived him. They waived him. That was his last game. You'll see a 53 on the field this week for Philly, but it's Shaq Leonard. Yeah, Shaq Leonard. It's not him. They cut Christian Ellis after that play.
Yeah,
so
and that wasn't
man.
even like, that wasn't even like you're a bad player. That's you got by good play design.
You got by good play design, but that tells you the cutthroat nature of this biz, man. You're suiting up in a big game, starting against for the defending NFC champions one day. You make a couple bad plays. Leonard's sitting there. Shaq Leonard's
if anybody
on the
should
street.
Be helping out. Anybody should be helping out Ellis. It's Kyle, man.
Yeah, I mean that
they
was
picked
rough.
on him all day. They picked on him all day.
I'll put him on the unemployment line.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He needs to send him a Christmas card or something like sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's, once again, shows the cutthroat nature of the NFL. All right, couple of last ones here. Lawless Light says that point should go to shown the most media why Brock is not just a system quarterback that trust Kyle has in Brock, as he's never had in anyone else. And there's no question.
That's what's been huge to me, Larry. Honestly, like this is what frustrates me about Kyle is that he's a phenomenal coach. He knows the game. His game plans is some of the most ingenuity, like some of the most creative and like avant-garde football that I've ever seen was with when Kyle is in his bag. My only thing is that it is a stark difference from when his back is against the wall. And a lot of that is that there's a difference between drawing it up on paper and actually seeing it come to life on the field. And I know that Kyle sees the game in binaries. He sees the game in zeros and ones all over the place. But there's an intelligent side of the game where Kyle's going to have to start leaning onto his relationships to get things done on the field. And that's where I see that's the final step for Kyle. That's what, and I'm starting to see it with Brock. And that's what I mean, Larry, when I keep saying that Brock is going to expose Kyle, is the exposure may be good, right? He may expose some great things that we were waiting to see.
Well, he's eliminating the excuses. I mean, there's reasons why they haven't won. One of them has been they've been limited at quarterback. They're probably not limited at quarterback as much now. Check that box. And as you start eliminating these other reasons of why you're losing, then it isolates Kyle. And if he's the reason they lose, it will start to stand out more. Where in the past, might be one of the reasons they lost, but Jimmy's limits might be one of the reasons they lost. Lack of pass rush might be one of the reasons they lost. Lack of offensive line may be one of the reasons.
There was always wiggle room.
There was always different options, and the quarterback is taking away that option. Cocoa Puff, would you trade a second, a third, and a fourth round pick for one pick in the top five? Well, I mean, first of all, I don't know that you can get a top five pick for a second, a third, and a fourth, to be honest. I don't think you can. But as far as your general premise, it really depends where I'm at. I mean, if I feel like I'm one player away, yeah, but if I feel like I've got stars on my team and I'm like, if I'm like the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s after, when the cap hit where they had great stars, but they didn't have great depth, maybe I wouldn't make that move. But if I'm the Niners and I've got a loaded roster and I'm thinking, hey, one great player could put me over the top, yeah, I would make that move. So that's kind of how I look at that one. And okay, a couple other ones. Geno Smith went down in practice yesterday with a slight groin, and it may be Drew Lock. And they asked Kyle about it yesterday in the presser, and he's like, hey, look, they're very similar quarterbacks, and it won't change our game plan at all. What do you think, Coach? Who's the better quarterback? Does Seattle have a better chance to beat the Niners with Geno or with Lock tomorrow?
Larry, this is low-hanging fruit. You know.
Well, I don't know. To me, they're very similar. I like Geno more than Lock.
Come on, Larry.
But some people like Lock. And Lock had a really good college
career. Let me say this. Hey. Whoever likes Drew Lock, you need to be locked away.
Coach is channeling his inner Sirianni there.
Oh, man. I mean, if Drew Lock plays, God.
Or is it make no difference? Does it make a big difference? I mean, I don't see Geno as great. I don't see Lock as awful. I kind of see them as kind of middling. I think Lock may have a bigger arm. I think Geno's a smarter quarterback. I think Geno's better because of his mind than Lock. Lock might be a little bit better because of his arm. Right. I don't know. I mean, he was good at Mizzou for a while. Well, I mean, a lot of people think that Drew Lock just hasn't had opportunities. What do you think? I mean, if they go with Lock, does that change the odds?
No, I don't think Geno's done it long enough for us to really stamp this reclamation project. You don't see a lot of guys like Geno in the league, guys that came in hot with a lot of fanfare, cachet, pedigree. They fall off, necessarily don't find their footing, and then they hop from team to team, and then all of a sudden come up on the deal. I think that this is more the exception than the rule. Geno, he had a nice story, but I just feel like Geno's emergence is kind of emblematic of the league regressing, where a guy like Geno can show you a good couple of years. But some of the things that he's doing in the game that he played us, you just can't have. And if it was Brock, I would be saying the same things about Brock. If I saw Brock being affected by the blitz, taking his eyes off the defense, looking at the rush, completely folding anytime the pocket gets a little bit altered or he gets somebody breathing down his neck, like I would be questioning Brock's mettle as a football player. I would be seeing if he's scared. I would be asking, like, why are you abandoning your technique in moments when you need it most? And that's what I've been seeing from Geno. That's what I see out of Jalen Hurts. That's why I said what I said about him before the Eagles game, that I thought that Brock was better than him, because one of the biggest things about quarterback is you're going to get blitzed. They're literally trying to get you every play. So if you can't stop watching the rush when you were trying to do your job, don't pushing the ball downfield, that's like a legit flaw. That's something that it's never going to be coached out, because it's always going to happen. So with me seeing that in Geno, and for them to say that Drew Lock is pretty much a carbon copy, I don't see any pressure bust pipes, man. I don't really see Geno, or the lack of Geno being a big deal for us, because the stuff that he has inside him, you can't coach that out. Like that skittish, I don't want to be touched. I can't be, as soon as I'm about to fall on the ground, or as soon as I'm about to have to move in the pocket, I completely take my eyes off the field. And looking at the man in front of me, like it's not football. So I don't think that there's much of a drop off, even if Drew Lock does play, but I don't think that much of Geno anyway. So
Ramos says Jason Aponte had Seahawks content creator Mookie on last night. Says Geno will play. Can't trust Lock. Okay, so there you have it. All right, 3 last ones here. Grant threw this out earlier today. Aiyuk He's speculating that Houston may come calling. You know, they have Tank Dell, they have Nico, but they're looking for that number one receiver. And Bobby Slowick was here, and he knows Aiyuk, and he knows how good Aiyuk is. And Grant was saying, would you trade Aiyuk to Houston? And he was speculating for 2 1s. If Houston offered 2 1s, would you trade Aiyuk? I think if it was 1-1, I would say no for sure. 2 1s, that's different. That's different. That's a lot of draft capital, and you can move back in the first round off a first round pick. And if you get 2 1s, I mean, heck, you could trade back and get a whole nother draft class if you wanted to trade back into rounds 2 and 3. And maybe that's the route I would go. I love Aiyuk, and his touchdown production since the middle of the year has been awesome to watch. But what would you think if D'Amico and Houston comes knocking in the offseason saying, we want that for sure number one guy for CJ, and we'll give you our next 2 1s this year and next year? You say what? You take the 2 1s and get down the road, or you say get lost, we're keeping Aiyuk and pay him the $26 million. And you got to pay Purdy coming up here in a short amount of time as well. So what would be your plan?
Like that. Okay.
This is tough because this is like maxing out. This is the part of the NFL that Eddie D's era never had to deal with this. It was like, well, we want Aiyuk and we want them. We want this guy and that guy. Yeah. Now you got to choose. Now you got to choose.
All right.
He doesn't have a ton of targets for a guy who's a true number one. They don't use him like other teams use their one because they've got Debo and Aiyuk Debo and Kittle and all these other guys. They don't throw him the ball as much as they probably could or should.
And then, and for me, one of the things that I like is that Debo's 20. I mean, BA is 25. He's young.
Right. And he's going to be good for a while.
He's going to be good for a while. Debo's coming up on 30. We're getting to the point where we got to motivate him even to come into camp in shape. And Debo's the type of guy where if you get his cachet up enough, you can move him. We can find a sucker to take Debo. BA is a legit talent. You know what I mean? Like, he's plug and play. You don't got to game or scheme anything up with him. You can put a corner in front of him. You can put a linebacker, whatever you want to do. BA's gonna get open. He runs the full complement of the route tree, and on top of it, he plays with tons of heart, and he's a tough player. He blocks really well. He's a leader. That's another thing I feel like isn't really talked about a lot. A lot of the young guys are up under BA. BA is a leader. I think losing BA would almost kind of lose the personality of your team who follow him. Guys are pack animals, man. So there's always got to be an alpha. And when you got a football team, everybody's looking for their mini alpha, the guy who has my type of character, who I can inspire myself off of, right? And who is BA? BA is the quiet guy, not really speaks a lot, doesn't like a lot of fanfare, but he's an extremely hard worker, always wants the ball, always is one of the first people out on the field. He's almost in certain ways like the Eric Armstead of the receiving room, right? If there was a real leader in our receiving room, I would take BA over Debo. And for me, you don't trade your two first round picks for a guy that, number one, you drafted in the first round. So he's a homegrown talent. Number two, he's actually getting better, and he's shown that he's pushing on the elite side of his skill set.
And he's not a diva. He's not a diva. He's a blue-collar guy, and he's a NorCal guy.
And he's a receiver and not a diva. That's rare.
Right.
He's a receiver. He's not a diva, and he's a leader. That's rare. You don't get that a lot. So, yeah, picks are cool, but understand what you get when you get a pick. A pick. That's it. That doesn't mean that the guys that we're going to go pick with these picks are going to pan out and do a great job for us. I'd like to keep BA because he's a homegrown talent. He actually knows Brock now. He can run under those balls. Him and Brock have good chemistry together. There's one thing that I was worried about is BA actually getting the ball downfield. That has been thrown to the wind. That's not an issue at all. And Brock, if we look at it this way, what are we saying about Brock by getting rid of BA?
Well,
right?
I mean, they've got tremendous chemistry. I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
I mean,
what are we saying about Brock?
I'll tell you why I wouldn't do it, Coach. I wouldn't do it just because if Houston's giving you this year's one, I was looking at the mock right now. If the season ended today, now they do have Cleveland's one, and Arizona has their one. So their one would have been 22 overall. Their Cleveland's one's going to be at right now 24 overall. The only way this is even interesting to me, or even a possibility to me, is if I can get J.C. Latham from Alabama, who's 6'6", 335 pounds. He could be your starting tackle for the next 15 years. But Latham, they have going 12 in the mock I'm looking at. And the other guy I really like is Talieisi Fuaga from Oregon State. They have him going 18. So those two impact tackles, even if you traded BA, are not there. Yeah, who do you got? Who do you like?
Amarius Mims.
Well, Mims, they're saying, is going 22, but still your pick would be 24, so you wouldn't get him.
Yeah, I love Amarius Mims.
Yeah, from Georgia.
Yeah.
I did a deep dive on all the tackles about a month ago, and yeah, Mims. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Graham Barton from Duke.
They got this is a rare draft, Larry.
Yeah,
how many
Paul
good
from
are
Houston.
there?
There's a guy named Paul from Houston who's monster, but the kid from Yale is really interesting. You got to look at the tackle from Yale. You know who my guy is that I really like is the Missouri tight end, Missouri offensive tackle, who they're saying is going to go in like the third round. Let me see exactly. Javon Taylor? Let me see. I don't see his name here. He's further down the list. But I really like the Missouri offensive tackle, and they're saying he's probably going to be there in the third round. But there's no way I'm moving BA unless I can get a player, like Latham, or a player like Fuaga, somebody that. And even then, I'd have a hard time because I really think you win with the guys that touch the football, and it would be very difficult to move this guy for a pick, especially for an offensive lineman. But there's no way I'm doing it unless
Javon
I'm getting
Foster from Mizzou.
Yeah, Javon Foster. Has a wrestling background. He's an academic All-American. He's smart. He's athletic. He's got long arms. He's really exciting for Mizzou. Mizzou's got some really
big
good
guys
players.
dirty, man. They don't have no film on us until it's draft time. You can't find no film on the big boy.
I just watch a lot of Mizzou football, and I love him, and I love that corner from Mizzou. Isn't it Brackenridge or whatever? He's got a Raken Croc or something. I forget the hell's Rake Straw, I think his name is. That guy's really good. The
corner from Mizzou?
Yeah, Rake Straw, I think his name is. Okay. And he's really good. All right. Couple last ones here. Should the 49ers feature there's not going to be Mitchell this week. Right. Sounds like, just from listening to Kyle yesterday, the injury report is got Dwelly, Armstead, and Ray out, and Burford, Luter, and Elijah Mitchell doubtful. I would love to see this game against Seattle, especially if the Niners get any kind of early lead. I would like this game to be the bust-out game for J.P. Mason. I'd like to give McCaffrey a little bit of a blow. There's a lot of games left still. You want him to be standing. You got Mason. He's a young bull. He's ready to roll. We all know that he's been ready for weeks. I'd like to see him featured a little bit. I know he'll get the ball because there's no Mitchell, so I know he's going to get the ball a little bit more. But I'd like to see him get the ball a lot more, and I'd love to see, especially if they had any kind of a separation. They'd get any kind of first quarter separation on Seattle. Make tomorrow be a big JP Mason day. I mean, how incredible would tomorrow's victory be if the Niners get a one-sided victory and JP Mason runs for like $115 and 3 touchdowns?
It'd be amazing.
I'm just saying, if you get a lead early, like you had last game, maybe take McCaffrey off the field and run this kid Mason for a game. I mean, when you got 5 cars in the garage, there's nothing wrong with rolling out, one you haven't used in a while. And I think this kid could do it. And I realize they don't want him to fumble, and they're worried about his blocking and all these different things. But if you can get a lead, man, I think I would roll with JP Mason tomorrow. What do you think? I mean, if you can get some separation on the scoreboard in the first half, give me a lot of Mason.
He's got 23 carries for 127 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 5.5 yards attempt. The thing that's really nasty about JP is that the yards after contact per attempt is 3.39 yards. Like, that's league leading, man. At this stage of the game, I think they see what we see, but they're just not going to use it until they really have to. There's no way that at this stage of the season, they're just not putting him on the field. I don't believe that. I believe that they understand how their run game is built. They understand what are the heaviest parts and who can take on the biggest load. And I just feel like not even just Brock getting hurt, because by the time we got to Brock, we were already to our third quarterback. Yeah. I think that the past seasons, especially the 2020 season and last year, Kyle and the boys are starting, and the coaching staff, they're starting to get smart in the sense of, we just need to be good enough to get through the season, but we actually need to be whole by the time we get to the playoffs.
Right.
And by the time we get to the playoffs, what's the sense of having JP Mason and kicking the tires on him in the regular season when we definitely are going to need him in the playoffs, right? Where we're going to need to show a wrinkle that nobody's seen before, where we're going to have to show an element of the game or a phase of the game that we can utilize that people have not seen us do. And that's me being positive about it. The negative side about it is, why the hell isn't he on the field? There's tons of times where he should be closing the game. There's tons of times that we've seen throughout the season where we've all asked via Twitter, this would be a great time to see JP Mason playing right now. So on that side of it, if you look at it from that perspective, you're always going to find reasons why JP Mason should be on the field and be upset that he's not. But I've chosen to take a different perspective with this. They know more than me. They've seen this kid, and they know what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. And I feel as though that another thing that this team doesn't do is they don't suffer fools. If you can't do your job, it ain't like you're just going to be sitting here chilling on the sideline. They'll get rid of you. They'll wave your ass. And the fact that they're keeping him, I feel like they are pacing him out for later in the season. I really feel that way. The production's not even there. He's got 23 carries on the entire season. They're clearly burying him until when they need him. And that's how I feel about it. Now, is Seattle going to be one of those games? Is Baltimore going to be one of those games? Are we going to see that over here when we see the Commanders, right? I don't know. But it's clear that they're using him as a donut, as a spare tire. They need him. And they're not just going to arbitrarily push him out. Because we've been asking all year. It's week 13. And they still haven't put him out, Larry. So
I know.
He looks to be a contingency plan more than anything right now.
I just think that you're going to need all these guys to get to the finish line, and I'd rather use Mason in this game, find out what I got, and maybe win this game and have a fresher McCaffrey, because they're going to need all hands on deck for that Baltimore game.
Yeah.
That Baltimore game ain't going to be easy. All right, 2 last ones here. This is one fun one non-football one. All right, the fun one is, if the 49ers are not on a Sunday,
okay,
and, we all have Red Zone, and, we got all these choices. You can pretty much watch whatever you want. You can go to a sports bar if you don't have the NFL package.
Right.
But if I just said to you, the Niners are not on, they're getting, for whatever reason, they got a bye or they played Thursday and it's an NFL Sunday, and you can watch any game between any two teams in the league, you get to pick your team.
Pick the game.
Yeah, you can pick your teams and pick your venue, and you can pick your weather. It's almost like Madden. When you go play Madden.
Okay, I like
my kids, when we're sitting there and my kid's like, Dad, you want to play Madden? And I'm like, okay, I'll play Madden. I don't do it a lot, but I'll play once every month or so. And and then I'll say, yeah, let's go Bears and Packers in the snow at Lambeau. Or give me go Bears and Packers at Soldier. And because I love how cool the stadiums look on the Madden. But if you could pick any game to watch in the NFL on a Sunday that's not the Niners right now, who do you want to watch?
Oh.
What game would you want to watch? What would be your matchup?
Number one, prime time. We playing at night. I love playing at night. Okay. So That's
And it doesn't have to make sense. It could be.
Yeah, it could be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the Texans because of C.J. Stroud. It could be, it could be anything.
Oh, no. I'm gonna make it crazy. I want this to be at night. Okay. I've dreamt of this scenario. I want this to be at night. I want what's the year that the Patriots won?
You're calling a year now. You're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going old school. So what year did the Patriots go 17-1? Was that 2018?
No.
I'm sorry, not 2018.
Way earlier than that.
Yeah. Patriots.
Way earlier than that.
With Randy Moss.
Here, I'll look it up.
2007. So
I was gonna say it's like a decade earlier.
I want the 07 Pats with Randy and Tom Brady. I feel like that's the best they were. Okay.
Right.
And I want the 07 Pats at night. And I want the 2020 Chiefs with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
And that team. I want it in Foxborough at night, and I want to see that game.
Okay. That's good. I'm going. It's so funny. Butthead here says 85
Bears defense was 89. That'd be fire.
That'd be great. I'm going 2000 Ravens.
Okay.
At Soldier in the snow against the 85 Bears. Trent Dilfer and that killer Ravens defense with young Ray Lewis, Peter Boulware, Goose, Siragusa, Dwayne Starks, all the badasses they had against the 85 Bears with the best
2012 Niners.
You can't go Niners. I'm saying Niners out, but you can actually, since you're calling any year, you could go anything. You could
2012 Niners versus 2000 Ravens. I want to see that game.
That would be sweet. I tell you another one that I would love to see. I would love to see the Harbaugh Super Bowl Niners against the Shanahan Super Bowl Niners. Cap and the boys and how wicked they were. And then the 2019 team that went to the bowl.
And I said 2020 Chiefs. I mean 2019 Chiefs. That Chiefs team.
Yeah.
That Chiefs team.
They were great.
That'd be a hell of a game. You know what else would be a hell of a game?
What do you got?
I would love to see 01 Miami. Remember how talented that squad was? 01 Miami?
Yeah.
Not 01 Miami Dolphins. 01 Miami Hurricanes.
Okay.
I want to see 01 Miami versus 2017 Alabama, 2018 Alabama.
Okay. The other one I was thinking of was this. Joe Montana and the 89 Niners against Terry Bradshaw and the 79 Steelers.
Dog. That's a game. Like, I want to see.
That was the team that beat the Rams. That was their fourth Super Bowl team. That awesome, Steelers had Lambert and Ham and, Mean Joe Green and, Blunt and Donnie Shell and Bradshaw and Stallworth and Swan and Franco and all those guys against the Niners a decade later with Joe and Jerry and all that. That would just be awesome.
Who else I want to see? 99 Rams. Greatest show on turf.
Yeah. Incredible fast team with all kinds of great play calls by Martz.
And Marshall Faulk, Oz Hakeem, Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
Woo! They were some boys now. Was Ricky Prohl on that team?
No, I don't think so. On which team?
No.
Ricky Prohl, the Wake Forest kid who played at Arizona?
The receiver. Yeah. Ricky Prohl played for Carolina. Who else did he play for, though?
He played for Arizona, I thought, didn't he? Let me look up Ricky Prohl. I loved him for the Demon Deacons.
99 Rams versus 2019 Chiefs. I'd pay to see that.
Ricky Prohl. Ricky Prohl played for a lot of people. Played for the Cardinals, 90 to 94. Played for the Seahawks. Played for the Bears, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Colts.
I thought he played for the Rams. Did he play for the Rams in that 99 era around there?
Yeah, he did. He played for the 99 Rams. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, 99 Rams. He was a Ram from 98 through 2002.
Dude,
really
that's the
good
first
player.
time I seen two athletes running down the field yelling at each other before they scored. Remember that? Remember that play with Oz Hakeem and Isaac Bruce where he caught that go route, and Oz Hakeem and Isaac Bruce were like yelling at each other before they even crossed the goal line? Like, those were the days, man. That was offensive football on another level. We had never seen anything like that.
It was incredible. I mean,
yeah.
Sometimes when my kid and I get into picking these teams and we get deep into these conversations and you can go retro, we'll take, the game takes, let's say 30 minutes. It might take us 30 minutes to pick the teams.
Yeah.
Last one. Pete Carroll has a disgusting habit of throwing his gum into the crowd.
Why?
This is my question to you. You're at the game Sunday at Levi's. You're in the first row.
Okay.
You're standing there, and Pete Carroll's wadded up gum hits you in the head. What do you do?
I don't know.
Because it's going to hit somebody in the freaking head.
So disgusting.
It is so disgusting. And
did you know there's saliva flying off that thing and everything, bro?
I mean, heck, if you're a Seahawk fan, you're like, oh, I'm never going to wash this forehead again. I got hit with Pete's gum. Yes. I
can die now.
Seriously. I'm ready. Lord, take me. I mean, come on, dude. You're throwing your gum into the crowd? I mean, Ditka did it. Mike Ditka did it at Candlestick back in the day.
To be funny, hopefully he's chewed the ever-living elasticity out of that shit, and it's a pebble, and it just bounces off. But outside of that, are you serious? It's a habit, or this is kind of like a one-off? They've
caught him doing it, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, he's admitted it.
It's like imagine like the Antique Roadshow like 20 years from now, and somebody shows up with a suitcase, and it's like, I have something that's a little eclectic. Okay, it's taking a lot of time to bring this down.
This is
all right. Nobody make anything, and he just opens up this suitcase, and it's got like fucking 200 pieces of old gnarled up gum with like little thumbtacks in it with numbers. That's 2019. That's week 7 versus the Niners. That was in 2021. And he's got a whole suitcase full of wadded up gum. It's like, so, hey, I need you to appraise this. How much is it? Shoot me straight.
Yeah. What will you give me for this? It's
How much
amazing.
can I get? This is Pete Carroll's saliva petrified, okay? Basically. You can make a whole other baby with this whole thing. You take it to a lab.
Yeah. We could freeze it like Ted Williams. Okay, and then we'll finish with this. Couple supers in here. One from our couple non-supers, I should say, just chats. 187 says get Brendan Rice, and Bobby Locke says next year draft Brandon Rice and Frank Gore Jr. I asked Christian McCaffrey about his brother. His brother Luke plays ball for Rice. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen Luke McCaffrey?
Oh, yeah, he plays for Rice, receiver. He's
Yeah.
a try-hard kid. I don't know if he's necessarily talented or not, but I haven't watched him enough to know. But
he's one of the leading receivers in the conference, and he makes all kinds of plays. He runs fast. He's got good size. He's a Rice Owl wide receiver. He is a junior. He's a junior, but he's got the height. He's got daddy's height. He's the dad was like 6'5".
Yeah,
this kid's 6'2". He's 6'2", 195. But just looking at his game log this year against FAU, he had 12 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. He's got 12 touchdowns on the year. He lit up South Florida for 9 for 199. He had
Ooh.
7 for 100 against Connecticut, but 12 touchdowns for Luke McCaffrey. And I asked Christian about him this week. I said, you caught, I know you're busy, Christian, but you caught any of Luke? And what do you think of him? Give me the scouting report. And he's like, he's just a football player. And he's like, it's my dream to play with him on the same team. I don't think he's going to be in the draft this year. He's a junior. He'll probably be in the draft next year. But as far as the chat here, Jerry Rice's kid. Now, you think, well, come on, it's the kid, and how good's the kid, and compared to the dad? Well, he's not Jerry. I'm not saying he's Jerry, but Jerry Rice's kid is in this draft. He just declared this week. I want that guy on the Niners. I don't know how much you've watched the Jerry's kid. He's 6'3", 210. He plays for SC. Began his college career at Colorado, and then transferred to SC to play for Lincoln Riley. And his last year he set career highs in receptions, yards, touchdowns. I just love the seriousness, the focus, the intensity, all of those factors that Jerry had, this kid has. Mm-hmm. I really like Jerry's kid. And I think he's probably going to be a 3rd round pick, maybe a 4th round pick. But if I'm the Niners, I want Jerry's kid in the draft. I absolutely do, and I'd figure out a way to go get him.
One
really
thing that
like
I have
Jerry's
noticed
kid.
about Brendan is that he's I mean, if we're talking about him as a prospect, yak is his game. He's not necessarily a burner, but he really comes alive once the ball gets in his hands. He's a strong runner. But I would like to see more of him. One of my best friends is an SC fan, so we always get a chance to take a look at Brendan when he's catching passes from Caleb. But I wouldn't mind bringing on Brendan. Luke also seems like a nice prospect. I mean, he started out early as a quarterback at Nebraska.
Right.
So,
he's probably a day 3 guy. Unless he runs in the 4.3s or something like that. I don't know.
Well, that's another thing too. He's also got the cachet. Somebody's going to give him a shot because of his last name. So
sure.
He's just got to be ready. But this is what football is great about is, look, man, there's only but a couple of guys who are like stars. Everybody else is just a fill-in guy. Even some starters, right? There are some starters on football teams that know, like, it's really not about me. Like, I'm just here to do my job. That's 90% of football. So these type of guys, like these fringe guys, these glue guys that are going to come in and keep their head down and do their job at a high level. Like, remember, the Slater brothers over there with in New England, right?
Yeah.
That's just what the NFL
Great
is all
special
about.
teamers.
If you guys can turn this into a 9-to-5, you're going to last in the league. That's what it's really about. These guys get paid a lot of money, more than the average everyday man. But if you come into the NFL with a blue-collar work mentality and you come in there with your head down like you're trying to get a job done every day and humble enough to understand that you're privileged to make the money that you can make, on top of the fact that you have the cachet and the pedigree with the name around you that your fathers have done, like, I don't think people realize, like, nepotism is real, but sometimes nepotism is needed. It is what it is. Jerry Rice, when he was a young man, dedicated his life and his effort to the NFL, right? He's put his stake into the NFL. The same thing with Ed McCaffrey. He put his stake into the NFL. And you know what? He kept his head down. He kept his nose clean. He kept his network tight and his tribe even closer. And now when it's time for his kids to get a nod and get into the algorithm and get into the infrastructure that helped out his family, they're going to be waiting for him with open arms. That's the way the league works. I expect him to be in the league.
One last super. Look at this. Purdy is an 85 overall on Madden now. And that's Killamig 831.
Yeah. He's back.
Killa. From now on, he's just Killa.
Just call him Killa.
Killa.
Killa Miguel. We already know, your one super chat has made you so famous.
I mean, come on. Can we come up with a better handle?
Killer Miguel.
I mean,
Jesus.
I'm calling him 831 from now on.
You're trying to get us canceled. First time Larry read that name out, I could hear you say it 5 times in your head, before you said it out loud. And you're like, kill him.
You saw me the other day looking at it like this, like, what the hell?
Larry was like,
what's his name again? All right, that's going to do it for us. Hey, by the way, the Krueg Show, we are at 29,945. 29,945. 55 away from 30,000, man. Thanks to everybody. Oh, by the way, Kill a Mig 831 back in there. Thanks for not chopping it up. I think he means thanks for chopping it up, but we appreciate you, brother. Coach, what do you got cooking the rest of Saturday? Were you a guy who will camp out? I mean, I force myself to watch Army Navy, but I like watching athletes, and it's not that these guys aren't athletes; they're athletes. And I went to Army Navy once, and I was amazed. It was at the link in Philly. I was amazed when they did the walk on. The middies and the Navy people and the Army people, and I was amazed at how young the people are who are defending our country.
They're babies.
They're babies. They're literally babies. They're not even, that makes my son and daughter look old. I mean, these people are literally children that are defending our nation. Not that we're in the midst of war on our shore, thank God, but I'm just saying that, first of all, as my late father, the great George Krueger, was a JAG Corps attorney. He was a military man. He met my mom when he was stationed at 5th Army headquarters in Chicago. It was a blind date. One of his JAG Corps attorneys said, "Hey, I've got my neighbor. I think you'd like to go out with my neighbor." And my dad said, there was another guy who was going to go on this date. And the other guy's like, "Yeah, I'll go out with her." So it came like the day before the date. And he's like, "Okay, here's her address. And, you can pick her up here at her house. And she lives with her parents." And he's like, "Oh yeah, but this guy was like 5'8". He's like, "Well, is she tall?" And my mom was like 5'6" or 5'7". And the JAG Corps attorney who was next door neighbors said, "Yeah, actually, she is kind of on the taller side." And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to go out with her. I'm only 5'8". How tall is she? She's like, "Yeah, he's like 5'7". "Oh, no, when she wears heels, she'll be taller than me." Well, my dad was 6'3". So my dad said, "I'll go out with her."
Yeah.
And so my dad showed up on the south side of Chicago for a blind date with my mother, and knocked on the door, and her sister came to the door and said, "Yeah, I'm Carroll." And then he said, "Well, nice to meet you. Ready to go?" And he's like, she said, "No, actually, I'm not Carroll. I'm Marilyn. I'm her sister. But I'll get Carroll. She's in the back. I'm just here to make sure that you weren't weird." And
played interference.
Yeah, exactly. I played interference. And my mom came out. They started dating. This is early 60s. They got married, I think, in 63. And my brother was born in 65. My sister was born in 68. I was born in 70. My sister was born in 72. And both my parents are up in the sky above now, but I miss them greatly. And on a day like today, I honor my father by watching Army Navy and rooting for Army. So there you go. That's what I'm doing the rest of the day. Will you take in any Army Navy, or what do you got planned on your Saturday?
I'm gonna watch some Army Navy. As you guys know, I did I did some years at military school, and it was a tradition that I didn't even know was going to become
high school or like Citadel or VMI.
Yeah, so I went. I did high school and college. I did junior college over there too. So
how was that? Can I ask what
Valley Forge military?
Yeah, I mean, how was that?
Let me tell you, I'm looking in the
hardcore dudes in there.
Military school was the best experience of my life.
Really?
It was so much fun. Like 10,000 boys, okay, where cadre ran, all right? So there's not like a ton of adults around, all right? And it's an upbringing that would probably not even exist today because of social media, right? You get a real discipline matrix put around you. There is no such thing as giving up. Either you give up or you get the hell out. There's no failing, right? If you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you got kicked out. Football, some of the best athletes I played with, Jeff Otah, tackle for the Panthers. Me and him played together.
Big boy. He's a big boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't Otah like 6'7" or something?
Yeah, 6'7", big boy. Me and him, he was my right tackle when I played on that offensive line over there. I sung in the regimental chorus, man, so I got to sing at Carnegie Hall. It just all of the FTXs, the night FTXs, being able to fly around in helicopters and play Army in the Woods and PT and drill and parade. And really what it does is it just gives you a structure for life, and it makes you a cut above the rest in just your thought process on how you do everything. So I love the military school. And I say all the time to my friends, like, when I get a little one, I'm shipping their ass right off. You're going.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going. It's a great, I can't speak about it all enough, man. We be here all day, man. It's made me who I am today, man.
In another stream, I'll pick your brain on that, because I'd love to hear more stories about that. And by the way, thanks to 490 East, says damn near 2-hour show and enjoyed every bit. Y'all the illest. Subscribe, y'all. Hashtag 490 Goldmine. Hashtag ROCHNY. But go ahead, Coach. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Like outside of my father, right? Outside of my father, military school and football are pretty much the best things that have ever happened, man. You just get 10,000 boys, man. Just imagine, imagine like the fights, the camaraderie, what you learn about being a fellow good member of society, where nobody's going to cut you no breaks. Walking out of military school, I didn't know what bad teachers were. I didn't know what horrible situations were until I left military school. I had to find bad schooling to go. I had to go to college to actually find shitty teachers.
Yeah.
That's how good military school was.
That's cool. I'm glad that was a good experience. Monty Watts says, Krueg and the coach, real boys. Well, we appreciate it. Digital Drew, who's joined us before, says, you can't quit yet. I'm not done mowing the lawn. I'm surprised you're mowing the lawn in Chicago right now. My God. He must be freezing in Chicago right now.
Grass in Chi-Town? Come on.
He's cutting the grass in Chicago right now. What's the temperature in Chicago right now? I gotta check that out on the weather app. It's gotta be
Google, what's the temperature in Chicago?
The temperature in
48.
Chicago right now is 49 degrees. Due to current wind conditions, it feels like it's 42.
Oh my God. Low of 35 today.
He's mulching leaves and it's 55.
Tomorrow it's Sunday it's low of 28. Oh my God, no thanks. Digital Drew, good to see you, man. Good to see you. He says mulching leaves and it's 55. Good stuff. Hey, Coach, very enjoyable stream, man, and always great. We'll talk to you next Saturday. Go Niners. I'll give you the final word.
Hey, man. When you're dealing with somebody, you gotta move with a standard. And in order to have a standard, you gotta have a shared mission, shared values, and shared lifestyle. You gotta have the same mission as the people that are in front of you. And in order to get that mission done, they gotta have the same day-to-day values within the same time, within the same values that you have. And in order to have the same values to go get that same mission, then you need to have the same lifestyle. So understand that. Stick with your kind and stay with your people, man. I'll talk to you guys.
Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get